Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert, covering woke companies in a panic, asking the DOJ to protect diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, hiring, firing, special training programs. They need some help because they realize they're in trouble with Republican attorney generals who are going after discriminatory practices. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you. Coming from USA Today, big business under GOP attack for woke DEI efforts are urging Biden to weigh in and try to protect their business. A tech industry group calling themselves the Chamber of Progress, not the Chamber of Commerce, but the Chamber of Progress, is asking the Biden administration to issue guidance for corporations wrestling with the implications of a landmark Supreme Court ruling that struck down affirmative action in higher education and precipitated a new wave of challenges to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the private sector. Though it does not apply to employers, but it kind of does apply to employers, conservative activists seized on the High Court ruling, arguing it raises fundamental issues about how corporate America addresses workplace inequality. Corporate America, of course, has no business addressing, quote, workplace inequality. All they're supposed to do is offer equal opportunities based on merit. That's all employers are supposed to or allowed to legally do. This is the problem, and this is why big companies are starting to realize, we have some trouble here, we need some help. Since then, the nation has seen an uptick in legal challenges to DEI programs, and Republican state attorneys general have warned large employers like Microsoft and Walmart and Target against race-conscious practices in hiring and contracting. There is no such thing as a legal race-conscious practice. You just can't do it. You can take into consideration all kinds of things. Skin color is not one of them. That's why this is the United States of America. Now, the lobbying firm, the Chamber of Progress, is asking the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division to weigh in. Quote, in the face of political attack on diversity efforts in the private sector, we urge the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice to issue guidance to the private sector, expressly affirming that corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in hiring remain protected. The Chamber of Progress wrote in a letter to the Department of Justice shared with USA Today. Now, why guidance? What are they talking about with the Civil Rights Division? First of all, the Civil Rights Division is not supposed to protect discrimination. They're supposed to protect people getting equal rights. However, of course, it's been utilized for political purposes before, and it will be utilized for political purposes again. Guidance is a legal opinion. So if a company decides to take an action, they can say, oh, well, we relied on this guidance from this attorney, from this law group, or in this case, from the Department of Justice. It's a legal maneuvering so that when a company gets sued and gets in trouble by a Republican state attorney general who is trying to protect equal opportunity law, that company can say, oh, well, look, we relied on guidance from the Department of Justice, from the Civil Rights Division, so don't blame us, don't sue us. It doesn't prevent them from getting sued, but it might protect them from certain liability. The Justice and Education Departments produced a memo in August detailing the lawful ways colleges and universities could recruit, admit, and enroll students after the High Court decision in June to crack down on race-conscious admission policies. Quote, now as Republican attorneys general take their legal fight against diversity, equity, and inclusion to the private sector, American companies face a similar need for affirmation of their legal right to build an inclusive workforce. The Chamber of Progress wrote to the DOJ. So they want the same kind of protection, and they want the same kind of made-up rationale for why they can continue to discriminate. Corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives were already under fire from GOP leaders like Florida Governor and presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis. Republican criticism only intensified in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action. It really is beyond me why anyone would want people to be discriminating against certain races. How could you ever keep track of that being legitimate? How could anyone ever think that is legitimate? It's understandable that you want to see that everyone gets a chance, and that if you go to a company, okay, all kinds of people work there. But you can't prioritize having different races or different people at a company over giving people an equal opportunity to achieve at a company. That's the whole purpose of civil rights. The ruling has prompted some companies to retreat from public targets for racial diversity in their executive ranks and from leadership training programs geared toward underrepresented groups. Others are removing diversity from job titles. And when they say leadership training programs geared towards underrepresented groups, these were specialty programs from expensive consultants like McKinsey & Company that would only take in certain people of certain races and certain skin colors and give them the opportunity to become managers. It didn't matter if you were just as qualified, but you were of the wrong race, you wouldn't get the opportunity. This is not something that we have in American culture. This is something we already beat in American culture, and there's regressive politicians and power centers that want to turn us back into that kind of a culture. America's not having it. According to Stacey Abrams, the former Georgia House Minority Leader and Democratic gubernatorial candidate, quote, lawsuits are designed not for victory, but for a chilling effect, Abrams told Fortune CEO Alan Murray at the Fortune Impact Initiative conference in Atlanta. The scary part, she said, is it's working. Abrams is also a lawyer. Adam Kovacevic, CEO of the Chamber of Progress, says while most major companies have not changed course, the ruling has been unsettling. Quote, I think that companies remain as committed as they've ever been to having diverse workforces and particularly to ensuring diverse candidate pools. But the reality is that the Supreme Court case has thrown a lot of companies into uncertainty about what's allowed and what's not allowed. Republican state attorneys general are cynically using this moment to really push companies not to embrace diversity and to put pressure on companies to walk away from their diversity goals. So I think it's a moment where it would be valuable to have some fresh clarity from the administration. It would be a great time for companies to just hire people based on merit and give everyone an equal opportunity. It's not like people of certain races can't just perform just as well as other races. These are really terrible policies. USA Today research shows that the top ranks of America's largest corporations are still predominantly white and male, while women and people of color are concentrated at the lowest levels with less pay, fewer perks, and rare opportunities for advancement. Despite pledges to improve racial equality following George Floyd's murder in 2020, little progress has been made. Look, somebody gets killed in an altercation with police, that doesn't automatically mean you can actually change executive positions at multiple companies across America. People aren't just given positions of responsibility that affect customers, investors, and the employees under them based on what they look like. You can't just do that. It's completely disruptive, inefficient, and ridiculous. We still live in a capitalist system. White men today are more likely than their grandfathers to be managers, even as the workforce diversifies. At current rates, it could take decades, if not centuries, for corporate leadership to reflect the demographics of the workforce, researchers have found. If you go to work for a company, do you care if the leadership of your company reflects what your skin color is? It's hard to understand what difference it makes who the CEO is, what their race is, if they're gay or straight, as long as they take care of their customers and the people that work at the company. Quote, diverse workforces help these companies better serve an incredibly diverse population and help them fix what might be cultural blind spots in their products and services. I view this as just good business. It would be unfortunate if companies walked away from it. All companies should want to have a workforce that reflects their customer base just because that helps them make better business decisions. That is a completely ridiculous premise that because you look a certain way or because you come from a certain cultural group, you have an understanding of what your customer base needs and that you absolutely know how to serve that customer. There are skills related to marketing, production, distribution. That's what you want your workforce to have if you're trying to make products and serve your customers. The idea of just having people who look a certain way, having certain responsibilities because of their gender or skin color is really just offensive. It's not American, and it's baking in discrimination that has no place in American companies. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.